These are the homework answers for the 122 review preview. So for the first problem, problem 157, one of the biggest mistakes I saw was that people flipped around the things that they were supposed to do, or they did not show their work. So you didn't get full credit, even if you got the right answer, but didn't show your work. So there's a couple different ways to do these problems. I think the best strategy is to use cross multiplication. So for A, I'm going to cross multiply. I'm going to get 36x equals 24 times 30. So I get 36x equals 720. Divide both sides by 36. These cancel, so I get x equals 20. Okay. For problem B, again, I'm going to cross multiply. So I'm going to get 7x equals 5 times 3. 7x equals 15. Divide both sides by 7. So now a couple people left it. X equals 15/7, which is fine. Or you could have rounded it and said it was 2.14, approximately. Okay, part C says if Joan read 75 pages in 4 hours, so I'm going to do 75p in 4 hours, how long would it take her to read a book 250 pages? So the 250 has to go on the top over x. Okay. So I could find a giant 1 to help me out if I wanted to, or I could cross multiply. So I'm going to cross multiply. I'm going to get 75x equals 1,000, because 250 times 4 is 1,000, divided by 75. So I'm going to get x equals about 13.3 hours. Okay. Problem number 158, we are filling in a table. So one of the things that you need to do in a proportional relationship when you need to fill in a table is to maybe find out what it is when it's 1. So I saw in my table right here that when 2 letters cost 90 cents for stamps, so I would do 0.90 divided by 2, and I'm going to get for 8, 45 cents. So I know that 1 stamp equals 45 cents. So then I can multiply by it to figure out what all the other stamps are. So 7 stamps would be $3.15. I know 500 stamps is $225. And then I divide to find the rest. So if I do 675 divided by 45 cents, I get 15. If I do 1890 divided by 45 cents, I get 42. Okay, so it's all about multiplication and division because it told us that it's proportional. Problem 59 asks us to make a histogram. So you might want to make a quick frequency table to help you out with the histogram and figure out how many of each one there is. So I know that my numbers range from 6 to 10. So I know that my ranges are going to be how many numbers are in the 6s, 7s, 8s, 9s, and 10s. So if I count, I can see that in the 6s, there's 2 6s. So in the range of 6, there's 2. In the range of 7, there is 1 7.5 and 1 7, so there's 2. In 8, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, either 8s or 8.5. 9s, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 9s, and then there's 1 10. Okay. So when I'm making my histogram, I go over to the 6s. I know from 6 there's 2, so I'm going to go up to the 2, make my bar. From 7 there's also 2, so it should be the same bar. It's a little hard on the smartboard to make it kind of even itself. From 8 to 9 are 6s, so I'm going to go up to the 6. From 9 to 10 there's 4, so I'm going to go to the 4. And then there's 1 here. So my bar is a little kind of wanky, but you should get the gist. Okay. Problem number 60. It says to define a variable. So lots of people, when I'm grading these, are finding the answers, but they're not writing and solving an equation. So you need to make sure that you're doing this part right here, the writing and solving an equation. So you make that table to help you if you have to. Some people do, some people don't. Remember, we're going to define, we're going to do, and we're going to decide. So if I read my problem, I can fill it in as I go. It says Todd is 10 years older than Jamal. The sum of their ages is 64. How old are Todd and Jamal? So I know I'm going to have two columns. And I know Todd relies on Jamal. So Jamal is going to go first. Todd's going to go second. I'm finding their sum, and I'm deciding if it's 64. So I'm going to make Jamal X. And then if Todd is 10 years older, he would be X plus 10. And then their sum would be X plus 10 equals 64. So now I'm going to solve my equation. So I get 2x plus 10 equals 64. Subtract by 10 from both sides. 2x equals 54. Divide by 2. So x equaled 27. So that means Jamal is 27. If I add 27 plus 10, I get 37. So Todd is 37. So in a complete sentence, I would say Jamal is 27 years old. And Todd is 37 years old. Okay, so make sure it says writing the instructions, write and solve. I did not give you credit if you didn't write and solve. These last couple problems are a checkpoint, so you need to make sure you know how to do them. So they're adding and subtracting decimals and fractions, multiplying and dividing as well. So this is a good review to make sure you remember how to do this. So in the first one, I'm adding two fractions. So first, I have to find a common denominator. I know 8 times 3 is 24, so I'm going to use 24. Their signs come down. So 3 times 8 is going to be 24. So I have to multiply the top to get 8. And 8 times 3, so I get 9. So same signs I add and keep. So I'm going to get negative 17 over 24. For part B, first I want to change subtraction to addition. So I get 2.6 plus 1.5. So when I add them together, I get 11, carry the 1, 4. So it's positive 4.1, or 4 1/10. I'm multiplying, so in order to multiply fractions, I have to make an improper fraction. So I get 4 times 5 is 20 plus 1. It's going to be a negative 21 over 5 times a negative 1 over 3. So I can multiply across and then simplify, or I can simplify first. I know 3 goes into 21 7 times. So then I multiply across, I get a positive 7 over 5, or 1 2/5. For D, I'm dividing, so I need to do keep, change, flip. So I get 2/3 times a negative 2 over 1. Multiply across, I get a negative 4/3, or negative 1 1/3. I'm adding, so I'm going to keep them in mixed numbers. I'm going to make a common denominator. I get negative 1, denominator is going to be 12, plus 5. So to do the 12, I multiply by 3. So I get 9 on the top. Multiply by 4 here. So I'm going to get 4 on the top. And then it's really like subtracting. So I'm really doing 5 and 4/12, because 5 is the bigger number, minus 1 and 9/12. Well, I can't take 9 away from 4, so I have to borrow from the 5. So I borrow from the 5, make it a 6. Add a whole, so I add 12. So this is going to become 16. And then I subtract. 16 minus 9 is going to give me 7. So I'm going to get 3 and 7/12. Okay. And the last one, I'm dividing two decimals. So I'm going to do it without their sign. So I'm doing 2.8 divided by 1.25. I need to move my decimal point over 2 spaces. Add a 0. So 2 goes into 280. Oh, it needs to go much further. So I end up getting a positive 2.24 if I had like continued my long division out. Okay, so make sure you've corrected all of your answers and you've resubmit this to get your points back.